Hi, I'm Jay, the happy colorist, and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I wanted to show you how I did the lake in this picture I did. This is from Forest Spirits 1 by Fabrika Fantasy, and since this is the magical methods May, as I called it, I thought I would share basically this. It's not a method that I actually learned somewhere. If anything, it's kind of Bob Ross videos that inspired me to, and I don't want this understood to be a tutorial or something. I just, since I liked how this turned out, wanted to share the technique I did. I thought I'd do this little video on this. I'm not going to show this all in real time because this would be far too long, but I'm cutting the video. But I hope you will still be able to follow well on what I'm doing. These are the supplies I'm going to use. I'm going to put them all down in the description box, and of course you don't have to use exactly these. This is just a suggestion. It's basically this video is about the technique or the idea behind this, which you can do with all other mediums, of course. So for base I used Copic ciao markers E50 and YG11, and then I used color pencils on top of that. This is all Pablo's, from top to bottom, 245, 225, 180, 49 and 80. And again, you don't need to use these if you want to have a different color or a different effect. So let's get right into this. I just printed this picture again for you, and my idea behind this picture was that I wanted this to be very green, and thus the pond would reflect that, and the pond would be very murky. I wanted to just choose like a forest pond, like a small little pond, and I was a bit unsure about the reflection, but you'll see what I did with it. So what I did to start with is put the marker as a base. I will just check that you have something behind, because it's going to go through. And I chose this color because, as I said, I wanted it to be green. But if you, for example, want to have a different color for your pond, if you want to be more blue, then just choose a light blue. And it's important that you choose a light color, because if it's too dark, then the color pencil won't be visible on top of it. And I also, this is something that you'll see through the whole video, I try to go mostly in horizontal strokes. Usually you're supposed to always go in little circles, but for this I mostly do horizontal strokes. Doesn't need to be perfect. I actually think if it's not perfect, that helps the effect. And what I did with the reflection was that I went over the hole also with this marker, because it's supposed to look like she's in the water too, right? Except for the parts of the skin, because I don't want her skin to look green. So everything that's not her skin, I just go over with marker 2. Alright, that's the pond, and now, not to forget her skin, just put a layer of skin color on top. Again, doesn't matter whether you're precise. Again, I personally think if it's a bit blotchy, that really helps the effect. Okay. Already looks like something, doesn't it? Now, the idea behind the thing is that water like has ripples. So when I go in with color pencils now, when I go in with color pencils now, I take care to always do horizontal strokes. Usually you're supposed to always do little circles so that you can't see pencil strokes, but for the leg we want to see horizontal pencil strokes so that it looks like the water is a bit in motion. You can see that's what I did here. So the idea is also that the water, since it's less deep here, would be lighter here and then slowly gets darker towards the bottom of the picture. So what I will do is, so this is the lighter color and this is basically the overall color. I will go in with the 245 Pablo and just very lightly go over this. And again, as I said, only do horizontal strokes and very, very, very lightly. You don't want to cover all the base. You want it to shine through. And also go over the reflection. As you can see, it takes the green, but the base is still shimmering through because I am using the green very, 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 with a very light touch. Okay. And now go in with the 225. Very, very, very lightly. And just basically put this all over. More towards the bottom because it's darkish. And also go over the reflection. And I'm leaving this area a bit out because I want it to be a highlight. But it really doesn't matter where you really place all the colors, because I think as long as it's not uniform, because that's how water would be, it'll look good. Don't forget to go in horizontal strokes. And go in with the other color again. And don't care about the reflection on the bottom, because it'll have the same color. There's no border. I then decided that these ripples would be darker on the outside and lighter on the inside, so that's what I'm going to do. Go in with the light green, the 245. And darker on the outside, so go in with the darker green. And don't press, it's all very, very, very light touch, because you don't want to put too much color on the page. You want the green base to shine through. So we have the green base, and we have the green base almost all covered with pencils, very, very light pencil. Now I have the 180, which is very blue, and I use this, as you can see here, as shadow, because in the end it's still water, and I wanted it to be bluish, and also she's blue in my picture, so I want to have some more blue tinge in here. But you can use a darker green for shadows too, you don't have to go with a blue-green. And with a bit of a heavier touch, but not much, I'm adding shadows here where the stones are in the water. And drag it out just a bit. And again, horizontal strokes. Here too. And over here. And there's another little stone here. And as I said, I wanted these ripples to be a bit shadowed on the outside, so I'm going, but again, this was light touch, just to make it a bit darker at the edge. I'm going to blend it in a second. And again, it's okay if you go over the figure in the water, since it's in the water and blends there with. And then, as I said, I wanted it to be a bit darker at the bottom, so I'm adding in a bit of the blue-green here too. Just fade it out towards the top. And because in my picture she's wearing a blue hood, I added a bit more bluish tinge here around the hood, because it would reflect as bluish, but not much, just so that it has a bit of a different color. Blend this out a bit better. Very light touch, very light touch. And just go in with the dark green again, so the 225. Add some more at the bottom here, where it would be darkish, so that it doesn't look that blue. Again, always horizontal strokes. And I'm pressing a bit harder, but still very light touch. Just to blend this a bit better. And again, it's fine if this isn't uniform but a bit uneven, because that makes it look more natural. I always have to tell myself that, because I'm someone, I really like it if everything looks symmetrical and even, and especially for nature pictures that can look a bit weird if you actually do that. Just blend in those shadows a bit too with the dark green here. And this is the light one, this is the 245. Just go over everything to make it come together. Especially here over her face, it's not green enough. And her hands, like so. like so. Now, since her hair in my original picture is brown, I also want the reflection in the pond to be brown, and so I put a base layer of brown where her hair is, again with horizontal strokes and very light pressure, because you don't want the green to be out of the picture. It's supposed to shine through. Very, very light pressure. And then, because we're in water, I pull this out just a bit with horizontal strokes. Just over it. Like so. And then just fade it out again, or in, with the light green. Do some more fading out on the other side too. And now basically just repeat what you just did to blend everything in again and have the different layers of color help them mix, but don't pressure. Don't press too hard, because you want to keep the green base layer from, you want it to continue show through. Deepen the shadows a bit. Maybe a bit more brown if you want to have it darker. You can also go in with a bit more blue over her cap if you want it to stand out more. So then we also have these plants that have little shadows, right? So for that I just go in with a pretty high pressure and just fade this out, like so. Dark and white at the bottom, and then go smaller and with less pressure as you go down. Fabrika has already helpfully added some shadow there. You can also go in with this just a bit to deepen it if you want to. And these I just, color them a bit, like so. These are petals from the roses. They could also be leaves, just whatever you want to do. As Bob Ross would say, it's your world. And they have the same, they have like red shadows. Like, just a bit like so. Just go down. And always remember horizontally, because that's the ripples of the water. Yeah, no, and this is basically it, and you can go over it as many times as you want. I'm one of those, I can't stop fiddling as well. But this is the basic technique, and what I do at the end, I mean, you can leave it like this if you like this. I'm someone, I really want all my pictures to be burnished, and you need to be careful here, because if you burnish too much, you lose the structure that you just so carefully put in. So with the blender pencil, because you're not burnishing with your pencils, if you want to go in, but don't do circular motions, because then you just smudge it into each other. Also blend horizontally in horizontal strokes. That'll blend the pigments together. And also try to avoid the shadows that you just put in, because then you just smudge them. I'm also not going over here where we just pulled this out, because it'll just make a mess. Like so. You can blend it out more if you want to, but I think if you keep some of the structure, that's better. Yeah, that's basically it. And you can continue going in and adding layers on top if you want to, but you know, I think this already looks pretty fine. So I hope this was helpful to you. Thank you very, very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye!